it's Dorothy Guiney with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm here for the Scrapbook Nerd online shop, and I'm going to be creating the layout you see on the screen. I'm going to explain this super fast and easy page design, and I'm also going to show you how to step it up by adding a photo flap. This page actually has 3 photos and not just 1. I'm going to be featuring products from Coco Vanilla Studios' These Days collection, along with embellishments from Obed Marshall's Buenos collection. And these 2 collections work so well together, and they are both available at the Scrapbook Nerd online shop. So I'll talk more about these products throughout the process, and I'll put a link to the Scrapbook Nerd as well as the products I use in the description box below. So here's what's on my desk: a piece of basil marshmallow 12 by 12 cardstock and a bunch of paper that I selected from this These Days collection. One of those photos is double matted, and I have a tray with my embellishments, including some metallic pearls from Pink Fresh Studio I just showed you. That is new to me as well. The first thing I'm going to do is prepare a foundation page, and it's going to be a very simple page design, a large border, vertical border that's going to go on the left-hand side of the page. So all I'm doing right now is cutting down 3 strips of paper, and I'm going to adhere them together to create a border that measures about 5.5 inches wide. I will put measurements for these page parts on the screen, and take note, they are for visible page parts only. So the striped paper and the floral paper, I cut them about 1/2 inch bigger just so that I could tuck them underneath and layer them when I was adhering them. You can see there as well, I also have 2 tags in graph paper from my stash. I cut that out with a Tim Holtz die in advance, and that's going to be where I place my journaling. And now I'm showing you my title, where it will be placed. I showed you those alphabets there. That is from Obed Marshall's Buenos collection. And I have the title Happy Moments on wax paper just so I can play around with placement. So now what you see me doing is just simply adhering this border together, and I will adhere it to the page, but I'm not going to adhere the photo or the journaling box or title quite yet, because I have to make some decisions. One of the big decisions is what I'm going to do with that extra photo. You see here I have 3 photos, but 2 of them are identical in 2 different sizes. That's because my favorite photo is the large one that is matted here, but I do want the other one because it is part of my story. That photo you see on the screen that's matted, that one, my photo, my husband took it, and it's just a fun photo. It took him about 10 seconds to take. It was him saying, "Let me show you how to take a photo," because I was taking a photo of this cool plant. He said, "Look down at the ground where the face of the flower was facing." And he just took his phone and snapped it, and poof, oh, popped this picture, and my face looks smaller than the flower. Anyway, super cool. So I want to incorporate a picture of the boring photo that I was taking, which was just simply of the plant. But you're going to see there, I did mat it in the wood grain paper. At this point, I plan to place it where you see it right now, kind of at the bottom right of the photo, but it doesn't stay there for the entire process. But at this point, this is what I'm thinking. So you can see I'm layering up my photos. I've got my journaling box and my title there, but I do want to start thinking about my embellishing. And this page design essentially is everything on a vertical border. And what I'm doing is creating a line, a diagonal line that starts in the top right, ends in the bottom left, and kind of transects the photo. And you're going to see later on, I just put another hint of that border elsewhere on the page. So at this point, I'm just scattering those flowers, and that is an ephemera pack from the These Days collection. Super fun, full of flowers and full of leaves. But I've already used this embellishment pack, so I don't have many of the flowers with leaves yet, which is why I'm cutting out some leaves here right now with my Big Shot. And those are stitched leaf dies from Lawn Fawn, an old collection called Stitched Flower Die. So I'm just using the leaves, and I selected those ones because they kind of mimic the leaves that you see on the pattern paper. So I'm just going to cut a few out here on the screen, and you're going to see off camera I cut out some more. But what I do want to point out is if you do not have a die like this, These types of leaves are super easy to replicate, and I'm going to show you that in a minute with a piece of white scrap paper. So you can see I have all of my embellishing around me, including the other leaves that I cut out. But I want to show you, I've got a piece of white scrap paper here that's just folded, and all I'm doing is quickly cutting out these half moons. And when I open them up, it's just like those leaves that I cut out. Obviously, these ones are white and mine are green, but I just wanted to get you the idea. And actually, the fold that's in the middle makes the leaves even more interesting. And I end up taking the leaves that I cut out in my die cutting machine, and I add folds in the middle as well. It just adds texture and interest. So you can kind of see here I'm playing around with scattering those flowers and leaves in a diagonal line that transects the photo. But at this point, I'm not liking that photo that's in the bottom right. So I remove it, and it's here that I decide to make a photo flap. So all I'm doing, I'm taking a piece of cardstock that is basically the same length and twice as wide as the photo that I'm going to be placing on top of it. So that particular card there measures 9 inches by 6.5 inches. I folded it at 4.5 inches to create a little book, and all I'm going to do is adhere the photo on top of it, and it creates almost like a card. It's like a little book, and inside later on, eventually, I will be adding 2 photos to that. It's also a place where you could add hidden journaling as well. Sometimes I do it just with the photo mat, but I had already double matted that photo. That's why I simply took white cardstock. So at this point, I put 1 photo inside, and it's the photo that I was taking of that interesting plant. And I'm looking for a second photo. Eventually later on, you're going to see I do find a second photo, and it was a photo of me trying to do the very same thing that my husband did with the camera, but he succeeded much better in his 10-second shot than I did when I was actually trying to compose it. Now I'm using this scoring tape, which is a heavy duty tape. I'll link it up below, and I use it anytime I create anything interactive on a scrapbooking page or a card, and I consider a photo flap interactive. So now I'm placing the other elements, and I also want to point out that when I added adhesive behind that photo, I made sure to put it in a bit because I am going to want to tuck some things just like I did those tags, so I want to be able to slip it underneath. The same thing for the flowers. When I create that diagonal border, I'm going to want some of those flowers to be popping out from behind that photo. So I have my tags down, the photo book down, the title I'll do a bit later on, and once again I am playing with the placement of these flowers. So I'm just trying to scatter them in a random fashion here, and then I'll come in with the leaves. The only real trick I'm doing here is I'm starting with the bigger flowers towards the photo, and as I scatter my way out, the flowers get smaller. And I have 2 different size leaves, so the bigger flowers have bigger leaves and the smaller flowers have smaller leaves. I really sped up this part here because all I'm doing is adhering. Some of them are popped up on foam adhesive. This part took me about 10 minutes to do. I was just taking my time, making sure I was liking the placement of the flowers. But again, the only real trick here was the bigger ones were towards the photo and the smaller ones scattered their way out. And I was just looking for something that was pleasing for my eye. Also in this ephemera pack, there were like little sprigs of flowers. So that's what you see me tucking in a few spots right now, just to add, once again, a bit of visual interest to this page. And once this is down, what I will do is start adhering that title. And when I do adhere the title, I want to point out that I want it to overlap the photo, but obviously I don't want it to disturb the opening of this photo flap here. So you can see I've got the H really in the bottom right of that photo so that the rest of the word happy flows nicely, and I'm kind of doing it along the bottom of that tag, which is making placement quite easy. I'm not going to make you watch all of this process, but when I put the word moments underneath it, I'm just going to make sure that part of the M is sticking up in that empty spot underneath that A and the descending part of the P. So then I'm going to continue with that. My title is down, and I still want to do some finishing touches here. So I have this product which is new to me. It's fairly new to the Scrapbook Nerd. They are in a bunch of different colors. Mine are silver. So what they are metallic pearls from Pink Fresh Studio. So I'm thinking of putting them in the middle of all of these flowers. I do struggle a bit with this as well. I should be using tweezers or something, but I'm not very good with tweezers. So I'm starting by putting glue dots down in the middle of these flowers and then adding the pearls, but I didn't like that, so I got out my Nouveau Deluxe liquid adhesive and I'm just putting a dot in the middle. And I must say it's kind of spilling all over the place, but it dried completely clear and they are all nicely adhered to the page. So once again, that liquid glue really impressed me, I must say. That product is quite new to me. I'm getting out these self-adhesive brads as well, which is from another collection, Cottage Fields from Simple Stories. And again, the colors in that collection seem to work really well with this These Days collection from Coco Vanilla Studio, but I end up only going with one under the title later on. I put some twine there in the tags. That is from Lawn Fawn as well, I think. I forget. I'll write it in the description box below. And now I'm just looking to place something underneath that title there. And I end up going with once again, one of those flowers. I'm popping it up on foam adhesive and adding just a few leaves. So that just gives me a little repetition of that border down at the bottom of the page, which kind of directs the eye through the journaling and through the title. I do have a look at those stickers there, and you're going to see later on I end up putting some inside that book as well, inside that little photo book. Now what you see me doing is punching out a tab with my Big Shot, and that is part of a die collection from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And what I want here is a tab to put on that book just to show that you can open it. So I punched it out in two papers, one in the green, which is what you're going to see, and I also did it in that hard cardstock, that heavy cardstock, and I'm going to adhere it behind. So the two pieces will be adhered together. It's once again just to make it sturdy. Whenever I do anything that's interactive on a page, I definitely like it to be sturdy, so I use that scoring tape as well. So you can see there I have my second photo. Again, that's me trying to recreate the shot that my husband did, but his was better. Just sometimes things that are quick and spontaneous just turn out better. I don't mind that my other photos are hidden in this book simply because it's all explained in the journaling. What I really wanted to document here was his fun photo that he took, but like I said, it's mentioned in the journaling, and as you can see there's a little tab there that says open, and I did stamp that out, by the way, with an old stamp set from Lawn Fawn. Anyway, that's what I have here for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the Scrapbook Nerd YouTube channel, we would be absolutely thrilled if you did. The same thing for my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.